You hire a home inspector for peace of mind, right? But what if I told you the most expensive, most dangerous problems are the ones they might not spell out for you? I've been in this business for 30 years. I've been through thousands of homes, and trust me, I've seen it all. I've seen the hairline crack that hints at a $50,000 foundation problem. And I've seen catastrophic flaws clearly hidden minutes before we walk through the door. So today, we're going way beyond the standard checklist. I'm pulling back the curtain on the industry secrets that can save you from a real estate nightmare. Let's be real, a home inspection is non negotiable, but it's also widely misunderstood. There are limits to what we can do, and there are things an inspector sees or suspects that might not be in the report as you'd think, and what you don't know will cost you. So let's get into the first secret, the one that's the very foundation of what an inspection is and what it isn't. Here's the first thing you need to get. Your inspection report is a legal document. And like any legal document, every single word is chosen very, very carefully. An inspector's number one concern, right alongside of informing you, is limiting their own liability. Depending on the state and their contract, they could be on the hook for what they write for several years. So they protect themselves with very carefully worded phrases and errors and omissions insurance. So what does this mean for you? It means you need to learn to speak the language. The wording can be soft. An inspector will write signs of moisture observed below the window instead of, I think there's a leak behind this wall. Why? Because signs of moisture is a verifiable fact. Claiming there's an active leak they can't see is a guess, and guessing gets people sued. I once inspected a house with a gorgeous, brand new finished basement. It looked perfect, but the inspector's thermal camera picked up a cold spot behind the fresh drywall. In the report, it was written temperature anomalies noted, suggesting potential moisture intrusion. Armed with that phrase, the buyer pushed for a closer look. The seller flat out refused. The buyer walked away. Good thing, too. 6 months later, I heard that same basement completely flooded from a foundation crack that had been quickly patched and painted over. So that little phrase, temperature anomalies, was a $20,000 warning. You have to read between the lines. Vague language isn't an inspector trying to hide something. It's them waving a giant red flag without getting themselves into legal trouble. This is the biggest limitation of an inspection, and the one that breaks the most hearts after closing. A standard home inspection is non-evasive and visual. They can't punch holes in walls, they can't lift up carpets, and they can't see behind that garage packed to the ceiling with the seller's junk. If a seller has boxes stacked high in front of a wall with a major crack, the report just says that area was inaccessible. It's on you and your agent to demand that that stuff gets moved before the inspection. But here's the secret. A good inspector has gadgets that give us clues. The best one is an infrared or thermal imaging camera. This tool sees heat. A dark, cool spot on a ceiling could be a slow, active leak that hasn't stained the paint yet. A hot spot on a wall could mean missing insulation, a total energy nightmare. I was once inspecting a new construction home, a place that should have been flawless. The buyers almost skipped the inspection, but the inspector ran the thermal camera along the walls and found this huge cold patch in the master bedroom. Then the inspector put their moisture meter on it, and the thing went berserk. The builder had to cut the wall open, and sure enough, a plumbing joint was never sealed right. It had been slowly dripping since the day it was installed, creating a perfect little mold factory. Now, we usually can't write mold in the report without testing it. Liability again. But we'll absolutely note the moisture that causes it. Do yourself a favor. Always ask if your inspector uses a thermal camera. It's the closest thing we have to X-ray vision on a home inspection. Let's talk about the uncomfortable truth. A huge chunk of an inspector's business comes from real estate agent referrals. And some agents, not all, but some, see a really tough inspector as a deal killer. An inspector who finds too many problems or explains them too bluntly might just stop getting phone calls. This creates a little pressure to frame issues in a way that doesn't send a buyer sprinting for the hills. Oh, I've been called a deal killer plenty of times. I inspected this beautiful flipped house, new kitchen, new floors, fresh paint, the works. The agent was raving about it. Then I got the inspector on the roof. It was a cheap shingle overlay where they just nailed new shingles on the old rotting ones. It looks good for a year or two, and then the leaks start. In the attic, the inspector found cracked roof trusses that were sistered together all wrong, a major structural flaw. And in the crawl space, the shiny new plumbing fixtures were connected to ancient, corroded pipes. The home inspector wrote it all up, every last bit. The listing agent was furious. He told the buyer that she was overly dramatic. But that buyer was about to sink their life savings into a ticking time bomb. They walked away, and you could bet I never got a call from that agent again. The secret for you, the buyer, is to hire your own inspector. Do your own research. Read reviews, and don't just go with the first name your agent gives you. Ask them about their philosophy. You're not hiring someone to help you buy the house. You're hiring someone to give you every possible reason not to. To be completely honest, back a long time ago, when a buyer would ask me for the name of a home inspector, I always told them to, ask around, or this was dating myself now, but back before the internet, to check the yellow pages or whatnot. I was always worried that if the home inspector missed something, that the buyer would think, oh, because Erica referred this inspector, he purposely didn't tell us. Until I came across one home inspector that I was there for the inspection, I was representing the seller. I heard and saw everything he did. And for the past probably over 15 years, he is the only home inspector that I would recommend, and the only one I do recommend. Now, this one is critical, and it trips up so many buyers. The home inspector's job is to report the condition of a system at the moment of inspection. So when they test a 20-year-old furnace and it fires up, the report will say HVAC system is functional. And that is a 100% true statement. What it doesn't say is that the average lifespan of a furnace is 20 to 25 years. And this one is running on borrowed time. But they could tell you the furnace is 3 years old, and there's no guarantee that something isn't going to happen to it. Just waiting to die on the coldest night of the year and hand you a $10,000 replacement bill. I had a client buying a home with an old air conditioner that was rumbling so loud you could hear it down the street. The report correctly noted it was functional, but I also made sure to include the serial number. I told my client, go look up that number. They did and discovered the unit was 22 years old and the manufacturer hadn't made parts for it in over a decade. The seller's argument was, but it works, which is true, but because they were informed, my clients were able to negotiate a credit for a new HVAC system. An inspector won't tell you to buy the house, and we definitely don't estimate costs. That's legal minefield. All they can do is give you the facts. It's on you to understand what those facts imply. Always check the age of big ticket items, the roof, the HVAC, hot water heater. A functional 20-year roof might only have 1 or 2 years of life left on it. The most epic disasters rarely just appear. They start small. A good inspector is really a detective looking for tiny clues that everyone else walks right past. For instance, a door that sticks might seem like a small annoyance. To an inspector, it could be a warning sign of foundation movement, one of the scariest and most expensive problems to fix. I was in a house once where the owner had just put in beautiful new tile, but in one corner, I saw the grout lines were just a fraction wider than everywhere else. I pulled out my little level, and yep, the floor had a major slope. That tiny imperfection in the grout pointed to a sagging floor joist below that needed immediate, costly repair. Water stains on the ceiling are another classic. The seller will say, oh, that's an old leak. We fixed it years ago. Maybe, but an inspector will check it with a moisture meter to see if there's any dampness. A faint stain could be from a roof leak that only happens when the rain is blowing from a certain direction. And that musty smell in the basement, that isn't just old house smell. It's the smell of moisture and potential mold, even if you can't see a drop of water. Don't ever dismiss the small stuff. In an inspection report, the little things are often whispering about very big, very expensive things. Look, buying a home is the biggest investment you'll probably ever make. You deserve to know exactly what you're getting into. The inspector is your best line of defense, but you have to be part of the team. Follow your inspector around. Ask them questions. Learn to read their report and spot the clues that we've talked about. If these secrets helped you out, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe for more tips the real estate world doesn't always want you to have. And most importantly, drop your own home inspection stories in the comments. What did your inspector find that you were surprised with? Or worse, what did they miss? Your story might be the thing that saves someone else from a disaster. Ultimately, an inspector can't make this decision for you. Their job isn't to give a house a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Their job is to give you the data so that you can make a smart, informed decision. They're the generalists, not the master plumbers or electricians, and their report is just a snapshot of the house on one particular day. That house will keep aging and changing. But by understanding what they aren't saying, or more accurately, how they're saying it, you can turn that standard report into your most powerful negotiating tool. You can protect your investment and, more importantly, your family. Don't hire an inspector just for peace of mind. Hire them for information. Then use that information to build your own peace of mind. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll be back for another video.